gosh, man. Yeah, no way.
Love to know your thoughts on the set.
Definitely feels like something from Sesame Street. I'm gonna break this chair. Yo, my legs are gonna absorb the view of this entire seat. Look at this. That's what my kids sit in right now. This is a trip, man. Yo, why is it that the words that people have spoken about us seem to affect our lives so much? You know, that really cheesy phrase of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, just is a straight flat lie. Like, if we're being honest with ourselves, so much of our lives and who we've become has been shaped by the words that people have spoken over us. And in fact, the Bible actually speaks to this in the ancient wisdom literature, as we call it. It's the book of Proverbs. An author, Solomon, says in talking about wisdom to his son, and here's how you find the life that you need to live, listen to these words. And one of the words he gives his son is, listen, death and life is in the power of the tongue. Death and life in the power of the tongue. In other words, what he's saying is, from the very words that we speak from our mouth, come the ability to create something or destroy something, to offer life or death. And the fuller picture of what this looks like that we understand a little bit better is there are words that bless people and there are words that curse people. Right? For some, you know what it's like to experience the cursing. And it's not just the cuss words, right, that we've kind of deemed in culture as like, those are no-nos, especially for Christians or religious people. But to curse someone, to wish bad experiences on them or to wish ill against them, right? You can think of a curse as like a life-taking word that's spoken over you. You can think of a blessing as a life-giving word that's spoken over you, something that invokes goodness into you. And the Bible essentially says when we open our mouth and speak to people, those are the only two paths we choose. Those are the only two options really we have, is to either bless or to curse with what we say. And I think what is so difficult for all of us to get out of is the fact that our lives have been impacted by words that have been spoken over us. Even words and situations that we had no control of, right? In other words, what I'm saying is there's a generational picture here. In other words, you experience certain words from your parents because that's what they experienced from their parents and their parents and their parents, right? There's what the Bible would call a generational curse that's on us. And that might sound a little weird to you, but I don't mean to imply that there's like dolls and candles and, you know, weird chants that are given, but there is a sense in which this is what people have just gotten used to. This is how we talk. This is what we grew up with, right? I know that as a Hispanic, right, there's a certain way that we kind of have just spoken in our families for years. And what that does over time is that it really forms us into somebody. And the good news from Scripture is that these generational curses can be broken by speaking a life-giving word over someone, by speaking a blessing over someone. That's the other category that we have in Scripture. In fact, the very first exchange between God, the creator over everything, and man, his creation, is a blessing. In Genesis 1, it talks about God blessed Adam and Eve and told them to be fruitful and multiply. Enjoy life, enjoy the world, be blessed. And I think that's so true to how we experience life. Like when you rewind the tape and you go all the way back to the moment that you were born, the one thing that you and I share in common is that the second we were delivered, we were greeted and blessed by someone. That's what it means to be human, is to be greeted, to be seen, to be welcomed, and to be blessed. And at the end of the day, for you and I, the bottom of our desires is the desire to live a life that is full, that is blessed, that is happy. And I think that's the case whether you would identify as someone who's following Jesus or not. We desire to live a blessed life and to experience that. But the problem is, we're stuck in this curse. We're stuck in just repeating the habits and the words that we have heard spoken over us, right? Which is, I think, what makes the good news of Jesus so good. It makes it actually good. Is because if there was anyone who lived a blessed life, lived a full life, it was Jesus. Even the casual observer, I think, has to admit that the life of Jesus was a blessing for other people. In other words, people benefited from their experience and their interactions with Jesus. And I think that's because everywhere Jesus went, as a blessing to people, he was able to undo the curse of sin right? He was able to undo the brokenness and the harm that he saw around him. In fact, there's one point in the life of Jesus where he actually corrects his friends who are trying to keep little children from coming to see Jesus. Like in a setting like this, sitting on a little chair, right, hanging out. Like Jesus says, no, stop, let them come so that I can give them a blessing, right? There's something beautiful about having life-giving words spoken over us. We know, though, that the story doesn't just end there. In his most famous teaching, what's referred to as the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus instructs his followers. He says, hey, listen, if you're going to follow me, here's how we're going to do life. We're going to bless those who curse us. In other words, those who wish poor on us, those who would invoke harm to our life, we're going to surprise them in the way that we invoke, in the name of God, good to them. That they would actually experience God in such a way that life would be better for them and that they too would change, right? Bless those who curse you. And the reason why he can say that to his followers is because he embodied that himself. The story of Jesus from the New Testament talks about how Jesus himself became a curse for us. In other words, he takes on himself the generational curses that we have inherited as well. Because Jesus is not only God, he's a man. In other words, he lives life like you and I. So he enters into our world, right? He writes himself into our story and becomes like one of us. And in so doing, when we talk about Jesus going to the cross to die for sin, what we mean to communicate is that Jesus was willing to take on all the curses of the world on himself, so that what we deserve, he actually took. So that, and in exchange, we can receive a blessing. We can walk in a different kind of life. We can walk in a different kind of way. And so for those who respond to Jesus' invitation to follow him, receive that blessing of life. You no longer have to try to earn a blessing. You actually live from a place of already being blessed by God. Because the beautiful news of Christianity is that God just doesn't choose the blessed people. God chooses the cursed people and decides to bless them. And in turn, make within them the ability to bless other people. This is the hope for Christians, that they would, yes, be blessed by God, be changed by his goodness in their life, but then would turn around and offer that to someone else. That's the hope, that they would give that to a friend, they would give that to their neighbor, right? As we follow Jesus, we come to offer the blessings he's given to us to other people. And I think that's the hope for us right now in this current moment. We find ourselves in such a polarized situation where the idea of speaking face-to-face with someone feels so difficult, it feels tiring. We're suspect of people, right? There's kind of a skepticism about people in our lives. And so the idea that we would pause, say hello, greet someone, welcome them, in order to offer them a blessing, it feels so strange. It's even vulnerable, right? Just to look at someone face-to-face and say, hey, may God bless you. May God's goodness show up in your life, whoever you are, right? You don't have to be someone who agrees with me on everything. In fact, we might not agree on a lot of things, but what would it look like for you to actually experience that? Because that's what God in Jesus does for you and I. He shows up to us and he says, may my blessings, my grace, and my peace be on you. And may you be changed by that. And we get to turn around and do that to other people as well. And that is our hope. That's the only way we're going to find ourselves out of the curse of the situation we're in, is to receive the blessing of God in Jesus, and then in turn offer that to other people, offer that in our words, offer that in our actions. Yeah, so I just want to close our time with wherever you're at, just to offer a blessing to you. I don't know who you are, you might have just been scrolling around, but listen, we've been talking about the power of words to give life, and so I just want to speak a blessing over you. And so you can just, sit there, continue to watch. You can relax, take a breath in, and just receive this word from God for you today. May God in Jesus Christ bless you and sustain your life. May he give you his grace, his love, and his peace to such a degree that you become a different person. So may you experience God in that way, and in turn be able to offer that to those around you. Thanks so much for checking us out. Grace and peace. We'll see you soon.